Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with another video today on an update of the situation here in Spain. Now the first thing I'm going to say is thanks for all of the comments on the last video. Again, we cracked the 500 mark, so lots of people telling their stories and giving us information on how they are dealing in their particular lockdown situation, whether it be in the UK, whether it be in Ireland, whether it be in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Thailand, Philippines, somebody also remarked there, and even somebody from Pakistan. So good to see different people giving different opinions and sharing their points of view on the channel in the comment section. So keep that up. Now, I'll just say for some people that if you have written a comment and it doesn't show up on the comment section, most likely you've included some type of link or something there, and that automatically goes into a spam folder, and it's difficult to get those back up on the channel. So just try to keep those comments coming through without linking to too many other videos, because otherwise they don't get put in the comment section. Now, what's happening here in Spain? Well, as we can see here, that Spain has surpassed China in infections, but the new daily cases have fallen by 8.1%. So there are less cases on a daily basis, and this has been the trend for the last few days. And we can see here on this particular graph from one of the newspapers that there was a peak on the 26th, and the 27th, the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th have all seen a decrease in the amount of people infected. So that's positive. So hopefully this trend will continue. Now, yesterday, Sunday, the government decided to impose more restrictions as to who and who cannot work. And as one newspaper here calls it, they have decided to hibernate the Spanish economy in bid to avoid overload of hospitals. And now only essential workers are allowed to leave their homes as of today. Now this was a bit confusing yesterday because a lot of people didn't know whether their job was going to be on this list or not, and it wasn't published until midnight last night. So obviously some people today woke up not knowing whether they had to go to work or not. So a bit confusing there. Now another newspaper here has said that the slowdown in quarantine has put 240,000 companies at risk of bankruptcy. And with the new lockdown restrictions, maybe that will increase also. And we'll have a look at some of the people that are now classified as essential workers. Basically, the construction sector has been closed. They have been considered to be non-essential workers, so no construction is going to take place for the next 9 days. And we can see here some of the people that are allowed to continue with their activity. So if you are in Spain and you are in one of these activities here, you are allowed to continue to work. Now, as we can see here, the first section is intended for those activities that were already protected by the decree on March 14, and that is to say commercial retail establishments of food, beverages, hygienic products and basic products and goods, pharmaceutical, health, veterinary and pet food centers or clinics, optical and orthopedic, newsstands, stationery, fuel stations, tobacconists, online traders and telephone companies, dry cleaners, laundries, and hairdressers can work at home. And also, as we can see here, that now anybody that is related to the production and distribution of essential goods such as food, beverages, hygienic products, sanitary ware, and pharmaceuticals were added to this list. So the entire supply chain. Those who provide services in the hotel and restaurant activities or offer home delivery, so they can continue. Medical material, protective equipment, sanitary and hospital equipment. Financial services companies, banking, insurance, investment, telecommunications, audiovisual companies, essential computer services, those with networks and facilities that support them, and the sectors or subsectors necessary for their proper functioning. And another point to add is that anybody who is working from home as of March the 14th is allowed to continue working from home. So no changes there if you have been teleworking or working from home, or if your company was able to adapt. Now, another interesting piece of news that I have seen was in one of the newspapers here, the collapse of the health system. How much can the ICUs endure in each community? And they had an interactive graph in which they showed that the most critical moment for ICUs will come in the first days of April. And they went through a lot of the different communities here in Spain and showed when those peaks are going to occur. So we can see here, for example, that in Madrid, the system is already overburdened. So they're only expecting a 2% increase in the next few days. But if you have a look at areas like Andalusia, that's going to be 17%. Catalonia is going to be 5%. Valencia is only going to be 10%. Balearic Islands 20%, Canary Islands 15%, and the Basque Country 30% increase in the next few days is what they are expecting. So some interesting information there from one of the newspapers that have compiled that. Now there is another headline here which says that the government will have to extend the state of alarm until April 26th. Remember today, March 30, so that is going to go on for another 26 days most likely, although this is not official yet. This is just the headline in one of the papers here. Now another thing that caught my attention was how each country counts the fatalities in its own way, and no country is doing this well. So there are some countries that have recorded more fatalities than others. So again, some of these statistics can be a little bit confusing when it comes to counting the amount of fatalities. Now, if you are in Spain, most likely you have seen this person here pop up on the television over the last couple of months. His name is Fernando Simon, and he is the person that every day goes on the television and gives an update on the current situation. From what I'm reading, he has tested positive. So obviously this person here and other important politicians have fallen victim to the virus over the last month or so. Now let's go through a couple of the comments in the last video. The first one is from Armando, who is in the US, and he says, "Hey Stuart, I've been keeping up with your lockdown series. Keep them coming. Have you personally been witness to people getting sick or found to be positive? Does the media there show videos of the affected individuals, or are you just going by what the media is saying? Thanks." Now, if you've been watching this series, a lot of the information has just been coming from the press. I talk to about 25 to 30 people every week on average, and only 2 people have any type of symptom related to this problem at the moment. To give you an example of one particular case, I was talking to a woman last Wednesday, and she had to finish her conversation because her father became ill. Now, he wasn't tested positive. He called his medical center, told them the symptoms, and the doctor said most likely he had the virus, but he wasn't tested for it. Now, that's one of the big problems that we have here, is that up until now, there haven't been a lot of testing kits available. So there have been a lot of people showing symptoms, but a lot of people haven't been able to be tested positive yet. That might change over the next few weeks. We don't know. I've spoken to a couple of people who have had symptoms, but again, they haven't had the test. In my girlfriend's company, there's 350 people working, and there have been 3 cases. So again, all of the friends that I have here, all of the people that I speak to, people at my girlfriend's work, there's only really been between 3 and 5 cases, and only one of those people has been confirmed and is in an intensive care unit. Another one here from Dan. He says, "Stuart, are you really leaving Spain?" Now, I said in my last video that I was maybe going to move to New Zealand. There was a bit of tongue-in-cheek with that comment there. Of course, all of these things come into your mind in moments like this. But at the moment, I'm staying put in Spain. I'm going to see how this country recovers. But for the moment, no, I'm not leaving Spain, Dan. Richard says here, "Great video series, Stuart. Informative, fast-paced, and practical. By the way, I didn't see a dog in your house or any stockpiled beer cans." Well, that's because, Richard, I don't have a dog anymore. My dog passed away a couple of years ago. I haven't got a new one. And I haven't stockpiled beer, to be honest. I go to the supermarket every week and I buy what I need. No stockpiling here. I know some people are stockpiling. You only have to see the shelves in the supermarket to realize that. But in my particular case, I'm not stockpiling and I don't have a dog. Although we are considering getting another dog in the near future. But hopefully it'll be when this all boils over. Now another one here from Jeremy. He says, "Great work, Stuart. Keep it up. Curious. How do people see us coming out of lockdown or martial law in Spain? I see Wuhan is coming out of lockdown, but they have sophisticated apps and systems in place that would never work in Spain or other EU countries, and people will generally do as they are told. But any ideas about how it might be managed so we don't end up back here again?" Now that's a good question, and that's one that I've asked myself over the last few weeks. What's going to happen when these lockdowns finish? Are we going to be able to go outside and live our lives normally again? Are people going to be able to hop on planes and travel all over the world like they used to do? I don't know. I probably would say no. I think there will be restrictions in place for the next 6 months at least. I have no idea. I mean, this thing apparently is not just going to go away. It's not going to disappear. Maybe when the weather starts to get better, maybe when the hospital system is not so overcrowded, people will be able to go outdoors, and if they get sick, they'll end up going into the hospitals, and we won't have a massive collapse. That's the only thing that I can see. But how long it's going to take to get back to normal? Is the government going to be able to control people from moving from place to place? I have no idea, and probably you're right. But as we know that China is the only place that's really got through this, and we're seeing what's happening there. So we don't really know what's going to happen in Spain or in other countries. But we'll see. Now, Marilyn says here, a Spanish video was taken down recently. A distraught Spanish doctor had asked viewers to circulate his video on ventilators not being made available for people 65 plus. Must be censorship in Spain. Now, I saw this video and it still is up on the internet, so it hasn't been censored. It was a doctor apparently. I mean, nobody knows if he was a doctor or not. That's the main question. It was a very emotive video, and he played a conversation with another doctor. Now, all of these things can't be confirmed. Nobody knows if this person is a doctor. Nobody knows if the other person was a doctor or not. So we have to be careful what type of information circulates. But we can read here that in some regions, such as Madrid, saturation has reached such a point that intensive care beds are no longer taken care of based on the severity of the patient, but rather on their age and life expectancy. So you can read into that what you want, but it is a fact that the ICU units and the hospitals in general have collapsed. Now, finally, one here from Rosa. She says, Stuart, please can you denounce a company bombarding us with adverts about funerals for expats? I'm sick to the bone of seeing dozens of ads each day. So insensitive. I'm not an expat. So they are absolute idiots with their targeting. The company is dodgy too. She gives a link to a website here. Please, let's all report them. Now, as I said before, this comment here has a link, so it didn't come up on the main comment section, but you can see it there now. So just be careful the links that you click on, for example, with regard to funeral plans or people trying to offer you financial services at this particular time, especially if you don't control the internet very well. Just be careful what you click on and try not to do anything too irrational, but I do understand that it's difficult at this particular moment in time. So be careful with companies like this that are bombarding you with advertising. Now, that's all I have to speak about today. Questions or comments, please leave them in the section below. I'll let you guys again debate it out in the section below. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll keep you up to date in a couple of days' time with another video on the situation here in Spain. See you later. Hasta luego.